Well, Lesley, again, I'd introduce myself to you off camera. My name's John Paris. I'm the chair of the Asian American Group's Endorsement Committee. And on behalf of myself, Mike Biswani, our president, and Kevin Fung, our executive vice president, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy campaign schedule to join us this afternoon. I honestly don't recall if we've interviewed you before. Have we?
No, I think in the last election, I just was doing so much canvassing that I
completely understandable. Just a little bit of background on us. The Asian American Group, or AAG, has been in existence for 20 plus years. Mike's been our president for the last decade and a half or thereabouts. For the last 8 years, excuse me, we've been doing these panel style interviews for primary and general elections, from not only United States Senate races all the way down to local municipal court races, or municipal races, I should say. It's our goal to try and give individuals who might not have time to go out and research candidates or hear someone speak or read their positions an opportunity to look at our endorsement list, or perhaps watch this on video. For those watching it at home or at a later time, probably should have introduced you first, and I'm sorry. This is Ms. Lesley Cohen. She's the Democratic candidate for Nevada Assembly District 29. That having been said, Lesley, we're here to learn more about you. Please tell us why you've decided to run for this particular race at this particular time.
Okay. Well, I decided to run because I really care about Assembly District 29. I grew up in the area, and in fact, I vote at my grade school. So I want to see the area do well. I also think that the legislature has such an important role in our state, and it's important to go up there, be very serious, think about unintended consequences, think about what's going to happen in 10 years after the bills are passed, and I think I did a good job in my first time in Carson City doing that.
And you're a glutton for punishment then if you want to go back. So Lesley, one of the issues that, in reviewing your website, you had made reference to your belief in strengthening the educational system, which is something we all agree with. Nevada's 47th-ish in the nation. More from a short-term perspective, what ideas do you have that you'd like to see executed at the state level to try and improve the education for Nevada youth?
Right, well, I think we have to listen to parents, and we have to listen to teachers, and also right now with the quote-unquote breakup bill, things are going to be changing rather drastically, pretty quickly. So I think that will give more opportunities for teachers and parents especially to be involved. I think that there are other ways where we as a state can help the districts, making sure that we're seeking all of the funding we can get as far as grants, that type of thing, through the state, applying for them. I think also there are other things we can do where we're looking at best practices and what's working in other communities and what's working well to help students graduate and be successful. You know, I'm a product of the Clark County School District and Nevada System of Higher Education, and I had a good education, and I want to make sure that the kids coming up now have that same opportunity.
Obviously, you've had experience up at the state legislature. In Nevada, in addition to party lines or partisan votes, we also have this weird north-south tension at times. A lot of it stems from the various funding bills regarding proportioning educational dollars, funding formula, I should say. What ideas do you have to try and mitigate not only the partisan issues that exist in the legislature, but also that north-south divide that seems to exist?
Right, and the funding definitely has to be fair. We have to make sure that the South is getting our full share. Obviously, we do still need to help, especially the rurals. They need the help of the urban areas, but I think that's kind of where we start. Then as far as getting over the north-south divide, I think we're seeing more strength in Southern Nevada. We're seeing more of the Southern Nevada Forum, that type of thing, working to help Southern Nevada. I don't make sure that we're thought of. That we're not just a funding source, but that we're actually getting our share and we have our foot in the door and our seat at the table to represent our areas.
I want to say the funding formula hasn't been looked at since like '79 or something.
No, there was a change in the last session, I
Well,
believe.
up until then, do you think that with all the changes, the recent changes in education, that now is the time to begin tackling that, or do you think it would be more appropriate to kind of let these current changes shake out and see where we go?
Right, I think, well, we're always going to have to be moving, trying new things, trying to progress. So I think I don't have a problem. I didn't watch those committee meetings, so I don't know the exact details of how it all shook out, but I think we definitely have to keep moving forward on these situations and issues.
I'm sorry, I'm asking all the questions because I'm rude. Dennis, Kevin, anyone?
Part of this, and I see on here creating jobs for the future, on here, and also standing up for education. Part of that was we talk about it, getting more companies to come this way, to bring their businesses this way. It's going to definitely have to play a part in the education process because I want my kids to go to the best schools.
Right.
So if I'm going to come to Nevada, I better make sure I'm getting the best education for my kids. What are some of your ideas in lieu of what we've done with Fair Day and with Tesla coming? What are some of your ideas to bring more businesses to Nevada?
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, one of my favorite issues is ecotourism. I think we get billions in this state from ecotourism, and we really need to make sure that ecotourism has a seat at the table when our wildlife issues are being addressed, when our economy is being addressed, and it's something that we shouldn't forget. I think we can bring so much money. It already is bringing so much money into the state, but I want to make sure that it brings in as much as it possibly can. And it's also providing jobs, and there's ways to get more jobs through ecotourism. I think we're now starting to see that people, I think, we've always talked about the American dream of buying a house and going to college and that type of thing, and I think we're all starting to realize now that college isn't for everyone, and it's not a panacea that's going to fix all of our problems. And so, but having a plan is what's important. So starting to get programs to get children or students into trades and that type of thing where they're gonna have a good paying job and not necessarily incur a ton of debt or get into a field that they're not interested in, but that we're starting to encourage those kids to see, okay, I don't have to go to college, but what am I going to do? How am I going to support myself and get myself a career that I'm interested in?
You had mentioned college, and one of Bernie Sanders' platforms was, hey, free college. Irrespective of the feasibility of it or the specifics of that plan, he and Trump really hit on these a pool of individuals who were unrepresented or underrepresented and brought them into the political process. What ideas do you have to try and keep those people who perceive themselves as being disenfranchised, to keep them more current and more abreast and more active members of the body politic?
Right, and that actually is one of my also kind of favorite pet projects, because being a candidate for the second time, I've done a lot of canvassing. And what I found out is that people in our state or in my district often don't know about our legislature, and they also don't know the accessibility of our legislature. Physically, if you're in Carson City during session, you can literally walk from office to office and get let right in to meet with your legislator, oftentimes without even having a meeting set. If you're not in Carson City, you can testify at hearings in Nevada, in Southern Nevada, from the Grant Sawyer building. Sometimes even you can testify from Elko. and you can always watch our hearings online. And this is very unique. Most states don't have that. Most states have where you have to be in the Capitol when a hearing's being held to participate. And also, our website for our legislature is a very hands-on, citizen-friendly website where you can do bill tracking and you can give your opinion on bills. And legislators look at that. And most people in this state do not know that, do not know any of that. And so I'm not quite sure, because this is something I have been thinking a lot about. I don't know how you exactly legislate getting the word out more about that, but I think it is important for us to let the citizens know, hey, you can be involved, you really, really can. This is a very accessible legislature. Please be a part of it. Here's how. So again, I don't know, I've been thinking about it for a few months. I don't know that you really can legislate that, but it's certainly accessible.
And I wasn't aware of the extent of the, for lack of a better word, transparency that may exist. So I was just as ignorant as all the other people in your district. And probably the majority of us are. Do you have any ideas to try and improve upon that? Because a lot of people don't, they think it's all just smoke and mirrors and backdoor agreements.
Right.
How do we get, I mean, it might dovetail with your answer, how do we get that word out?
I'm still trying to think about how we do that. Interestingly enough, to me at least, the Metro Chamber of Commerce put out their list of, I think it was the 67 bills they were tracking, and the ones that they thought were the most important and how the bills fared. And I noticed as I was reading through that, I think at least 3 of them had sections in the bill that had to do with getting the word out. You know, whether it's a website about certain things going on in the school district. I can't remember what the other 2 were. It's been a while since I looked through the list. But there are ways for us to do that. I think, you know, utilizing social media, utilizing the media in general, and then as legislators, it is about going to the doors and letting people know. It's also about possibly having community-wide events. The Democratic Assembly Caucus and the Senate Caucus have the blueprint for Nevada, which has all of the platforms that the caucuses are taking. But to introduce the platform to people, there was a listening tour where the 2 caucuses were all over the area, southern Nevada, getting out that information to people. This is what we're interested in, this is what we want to do, but they also asked, what are your top 3 issues? What do you want to see us do? And it's just going to be a lot of hard work getting the word out.
I'm sorry, I was writing, so I can't talk and write at the same time. Mike or Kevin, either of you have any questions?
Kevin, where's your district?
So it's the older part of Green Valley into downtown Henderson and a sliver of Silverado Ranch. It's a very oddly shaped district. I can't do the streets. Some people can do the streets where they can say, oh yeah, it's bordered on here and here and here. It doesn't work for that district.
Assuming that once you're elected, our bill, which is actually at the state right now, is called Asian Culture Day for November 12th. And that will be voted by the Senate first and then come to Assembly. And all I'm asking is, once you're in the office, if that's the case, please review our bill and support it. It will create big economic value for our state, for our city. Okay. That's what we're lacking of culture. I said that is something that would be our niche.
Well, Kevin, could you maybe flesh out for Lesley what the goal of the bill is?
The goal of the bill on November 12th is the Asian Culture Day is that so that we can have all the Asians bring in the best, the essence of their culture, and celebrate on that day. I know there's a month, but it doesn't work. Nobody knows about it. But as a state designated observance day, that will get all the attention. We will be the first state to have that in the entire country. As a matter of fact, this is where you're sitting right now, the Asian Culture Center is the first one that with multiple countries as Asian Culture Center. Nowhere else have it. Okay. And that's why we show and say, you know what? Yes, we're all Asians, but we have 50 countries, you know. And trying to get 50 countries together, not easy. But on the culture basis, it's pretty much the same. We celebrate family, we just talked to the Italian lady. We're all very much the same. At the end of the day, it's about family, about our social connection. And that is to bring, see what we're trying to create is that so there is the best of your culture so that you can tell your young, why are you, or why should you be so proud to be the Italian, a African American, a Chinese boy or Indian kid or Korean, what have you. That's the question that we have been asking everyone. And that is something that unfortunately a lot of parents don't even know. And that's, you know, to let them start doing some soul searching and history searching and what have you, so we're not lost. Yeah.
Right. Sounds like, you know, I can't say if I'd vote for a bill without reading it, but it sounds like a great idea. And I actually have there's a family in Reno that years and years ago, I mean, we're talking in the early 90s, for Martin Luther King Day, the Martin Luther King Day celebration, there was a local family, and I cannot remember what country they're from, I just remember they're Asian, but the Martin Luther King celebration honored them because when Sammy Davis Jr. and other African American entertainers came to town, they couldn't stay in the hotels, and this family was the only hotel proprietor that took them in. And even though it's been more than 20 years since I saw them getting that award, I always remembered that family. So there's lots of, I think Asian, I'm no expert, but there's lots of Asian culture in Nevada going back decades.
Yes.
And it'd be great to have that celebrated.
Right, but really not brought out in the open.
No.
Yeah. And that would be great for all of our hotel industry, as well as overall we have big budgets for advertising, and that's what we lack of as far as, you know, a niche to advertise anywhere else in the world. So.
Right, and to be the first state in the union that does that, and
Yep.
to beat out, you know, Washington State and California on something like that.
We'll be the first one.
That would be wonderful.
Well, Lesley, we're coming right up against our time limit, so why don't you give us about a minute or two. Why are you the better candidate for Assembly District 29?
Okay, well, I am the better candidate for the district. Like I said, I grew up in the area. I know the area very well, and I'm concerned that it does well. And because of my work as an attorney, I have worked with statutes on a daily basis. And I've worked with legislative history. So where I've seen where, you know, literally I've read through hundreds of pages of legislative history and saw that there were gaps because certain issues weren't being considered, and we're having problems now because of that. So I take the job very seriously, I take the work very seriously, and I want to make sure that the area, Assembly District 29 is taken care of, and that it's represented by someone who is looking out for it, not just now, but in the future, and paying attention to what's going on in Carson City, and not just going up there because, you know, I wanted to have a title before my name.
Perfect. Well,
And what do you do professionally?
I'm an attorney. Don't hold it against me. I actually think it's wonderful. It's one of those great, interesting things that I love to tell people at the doors about our legislature, is that we do have a legislature that's a people's legislature, and we have attorneys, and we have, you know, 2 plumbers, and we have an electrician, and So, it definitely, I don't wanna see the legislature ever be just attorneys. I don't know that that benefits the state, but I think it is important to have some attorneys up there because we are the people that work with the statutes every day and know how they actually come into play in court and in everything you do every day.
And what part of law do you practice?
So mostly family law, although I'm in a firm now that does some immigration, so I've seen what that's like now. Also, I do guardianship and then some, just general civil, a little criminal. Getting my fair share now of everything.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. And before we let you go, two things. First, we'd love to take a team photo with
Oh,
you.
great.